Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about parts placement. While you're looking for parts, for the last video, for that RF amp, you're going to need to kind of have an idea how your layout is going to be and what tubes need to be placed where. The tube that I just talked about in the last video is this one right here. This is the RF amp. You're going to want that to be kind of off to itself, fairly close to, this is the front panel. This is going to be the mixer. The 6BE6 is going to go here. And this is your mixer output coil. So you need to kind of leave room around there when you put those sockets in. Now, these back sockets, this one here is the mixer. This is going to take the 27 megahertz from the CB radio. It's going to mix it with that TCXO oscillator I told you about, and out of it, it's going to convert it to 7 megahertz. This tube needs to be a 9-pin tube. It's going to be a 12BY7. That's going to be your driver. The tube I chose to use for the final, it's easy to get a hold of on eBay, is a 26HU5. It's an octal tube. So you're going to need a octal socket. There's the driver socket, the 12BY7. I pulled this out of an old parted out Yaesu FT101. Just the socket out of it and the shield for that 12BY7 will be fine. And then this tube is the, this one is your mixer. The coax connectors. Okay. You're going to need 3. Why 3? Because this is not a linear. It has an extra antenna input. You're going to have a radio input. This is going to be your CB antenna input. This input here is actually an output or input. This is your 40 meter dipole or what have you. That's going to be the antenna you're going to convert to and listen from. So that's why there's 3 coax connectors. In standby operation, the radio is just simply going to go into here through a relay that'll be mounted right behind this panel, and it'll go out to the antenna, and nothing will happen to the signal in standby. When you hit it, put it in operate, it's going to shut the CB antenna off. Everything then will be routed to and from the CB radio on this one, and to in and out of the antenna on 40 meters. So that's why you're going to need that. And you want to separate these a little bit. The relay is going to be right in here, so you're going to need room to leave it for that. There'll be another relay sitting right here below this one. This is your tune. This is the tune and the load caps for those. For this tube here, there'll be a coil right in here that'll be mounted between these 2 caps. And that's kind of how your layout should be. This is the front panel. Back, this is the back panel. Let's get it in frame here. Okay, back panel. And like I said, mixer, driver, final output. And for receive, this is the RF amp for the antenna to bring the signals in, and a mixer to convert it to where so your CB radio can hear 7 megs. And that again is the layout. I haven't found a knob. I'm going to change this probably to something else. This is the RF gain pot for the RF preamp. I haven't found quite the right control. I got to look through my junk box to just show you where it goes. And these are the 2 variable caps for the antenna tuning for receive and the plate tuning on the RF amp. Now I said there was a little bit different circuit. Here's the original. This is the circuit you're going to be working with right here for right now. The antenna and the plate coil for the 6AU6. And instead of using a 6U8 like in my original transverter, half of that tube was used as the oscillator. And that's what we're able to get rid of. So I'm going to switch and use a 6BE6 for the mixer. And this oscillator, instead of being a tube oscillator, is now going to be a nice and much more stable TCXO, a little hermetically sealed unit. Showed you right there, little guy. It's got 4 leads. I'll give you the pinouts, show you how to use them. There's a ground lead, a 5-volt lead, and an output lead. That's all there is to it. That works so slick. You just hook 5 volts to it, and it puts out about a volt, volt and a half peak to peak at 20 megahertz. And the one I have here says 20 HO, and it's just fixed on 20 megahertz. The driver I talked about is here, 12BY7. This is the mixer. In this one I used 2 tubes because they were the small 2E24s, I think is what I had in there. And this one is, you don't need to use 2 tubes. I got just one. It'll put out probably almost 100 watts with just 1 tube. You'll have a key-in circuit that'll sense the RF from the CB radio. There's going to be a couple relays you're going to hook up in there. We'll talk about them later as we go along. I haven't had a chance to get the complete schematic for the new version drawn up, but if you'd like to get a hold of that, let me know, send me an email, and I'll get that back out to you. That should be available sometime later this week as I get a chance to get it drawn. The coil dimensions, as I mentioned in the other video, are for the first 2 coils. The grid coil for the 6AU6 and the plate coil for the 6AU6. And you can start on that and get that wired up. And if you need help in testing it, I can guide you through that. Okay, I think that's probably about as much as information as I can give on this one for right now. This should get you going. I realized you're going to need to know how to set your chassis and lay it out. You might not want to use a box like this. All this is 3 pieces of copper-clad PC board, and I've just simply soldered them together. It's just just to make a demonstrator unit, because I don't plan on making one of these to use, but I know that I need to make one and show how that works and everything. But you can make yours however you want. You can use an aluminum chassis. You can, if you have available to a sheet metal shop, maybe they can bend the aluminum chassis and you can make a clamshell box that fits over this. Or you can use even perforated metal and angle aluminum. There's a lot of different ways you can make your cabinet. But this is the easiest for me. I have a lot of this stuff available, and it's easy to drill and solder to. I don't have to worry about using hardware to mount, like mounting ground lugs and stuff like that. I can just solder right to the copper. Works really slick. Okay, that should do it for now, and I'll get to work and finish the mixer part of the circuit up, and we'll try to figure out a demonstration where I can show you where this signals can be received on a CB radio. And that'll be the first part of the test, where you can hear 40 meters on a CB radio without modifying the radio. Okay, thank you for watching. See you in the next video.